Hello, my friends. It's been a while since we've checked in with the subreddits just to see what's going on over there, so I thought we would just kind of peek in and see what they're talking about. Now, one of the subreddits got nuked a while back, and I'm going to do my very best not to show any of the names of the subreddits, and there are actually a few now, so we're going to check them all out, and we're just going to see what's going on around Girl World. If you'd like to like and subscribe, that would literally be hectic. I'm not going to lie. Now, obviously, the talk of the town right now is the bedbug rumor, the bedbug situation type deal. So I thought I would sort of chime in on that because, oddly enough, I actually have some knowledge about bedbugs. I was an apartment manager for over 10 years, and a few times a year, a tenant would call me and say, I think I've got bedbugs. What am I supposed to do? I was in regular communication with my exterminator, and I was always picking their brain and just making sure that I kind of understood how they worked so that I could communicate with the tenant while we waited for treatment. Basically trying to figure out, like, where did they come from? What have you been doing lately? And kind of understanding how you bring them in and how they interact with people, mainly to keep them from going to other apartments and stuff like that. So I knew more about bed bugs than I ever thought I would. And I never brought them home. I didn't spend a lot of time in the apartments once I found out they had bed bugs, but the exterminator told me that, he is in and out of apartments and houses that have bed bugs all the time. Like several times a week, he was dealing with bed bugs because they had a lot of different apartment complexes as customers, and he never took them home. And he said it's because they don't tend to latch on to moving targets. He said, as long as you don't just sit and chill on their couch for a while, you're fine. And I'm not going to show any bed bugs or anything like that, but we are going to be talking about kind of how they move, how they interact with people, and talking about infestations and stuff. So it's not going to get gross, but it's going to be kind of creepy, First, let's see the video and see what all the ruckus is about. So obviously, there's no way to know for sure if that's a bed bug. If they get to the point where you can just see them and they're just chilling out on your clothes and just out and about, then you have a serious infestation. That is alarming. But again, obviously we don't know if that's a bed bug, but just for the sake of argument, right, we're going to assume that that's what this is. But let me explain to you sort of how bed bugs operate and how they interact with people and stuff like that. Unlike roaches and ants and things like that go scavenging for food, bed bugs just sit tight and wait, right? They find a source of food and just chill there. And that's why they tend to be found on beds. Actually, they more often are found on couches. Because you might be surprised to know, people tend to spend more time on their couches than they do in their beds. And they can actually go up to a year without feeding. So it's basically impossible to starve them out. You have to kill them with some specialized treatments, but we're not going to get into that. But they basically spend their whole life just sitting there and waiting where they know food is going to come to them. So that's why I said if you see one just out and about chilling, that means there is a serious infestation. There's so many of them that they're starting to scatter a little bit. Which brings me to my next point, and that is they don't tend to travel between apartments unless the infestation has gotten pretty bad. And we'll talk about how you bring them in just a second, but if they are going in between apartments, they do it usually through electrical outlets. So if you see a bunch of little dots around your electrical outlets, that means you've got bed bugs. Maybe roaches. Roaches do the same thing. But you've got something, right? You've got an infestation. But if they are traveling between apartments, that means you have a really bad infestation. Again, because that means they are competing for food. There's so many of them that they're competing for food. And so they start going out and finding food, which is not what they normally do. They're having to go find a new place to sit and wait for food. So the most common ways to bring them in, and they almost always have to be brought in. Roaches can come in from outside. without anybody's help. They just sort of find their way in nooks and crannies and stuff. But bed bugs tend to be brought in on bedding, clothing, in your bags, things like that. So the two most common ways they find themselves into apartments, at least in my experience, were A, when somebody had somebody come sleep over. Like they had a family member come stay for a little while, even just a night or two, and then all of a sudden they had bed bugs. But hands down, the most common way people got them was from rent to own furniture companies. You would not believe how many times a Stanley's Get It Today or an Aaron's or whatever, which Aaron's has a place in Girl World history, if you'll remember.
So we're currently at Aaron's. Just looking.
You will not believe how many times those employees will go repo a couch or a bed or whatever from a customer that's not paying and then take it directly to the new customer without cleaning it, without treating it, nothing. Just pick it up from the repo and take it right to the new guy. And it is almost impossible to prove that it was infested whenever they got it. But almost always, I would say 90% of the bed bug cases that we ended up having, once we kind of convinced them to explain, what's been happening and how they might have gotten them, it was almost always they had just rented furniture. So just beware that kind of crap happens all the time. So what does that tell us about Amberlynn? Again, assuming that this is a bed bug, we don't know. But just for the sake of argument, if this is a bed bug, and of course, if she admits to it being bed bugs, which we know she won't, she will most likely say that she got it from a neighbor. So that would just raise another red flag that the entire complex is probably infested if they're starting to go between apartments. The other alternative is that she has somebody coming over and staying the night, and maybe they brought them in. So there's a lot to unpack if this turns out to be a bed bug, but I did see something interesting. On her live stream, she claimed that these sores were from her suffering from her excoriation.
And my kitten, Romeo, thinks that every limb that I have is also a toy. So, And then I also suffer with excoriation, where I pick any sort of scab that I have. Like, I can give you an example. Cat scratches do not look like this, but they look like this if you pick them.
Now, I don't know, man. This doesn't look like a cat scratch to me. These are just little dots. I mean, I don't have a cat, so maybe they just, poke you, but I'm pretty sure they actually scratch. So to me, this looks more like bug bites that she's been picking than cat scratches that she's been picking. What do I know? So when I first saw the pictures and the kind of rumors about the bed bugs, I was a little skeptical. I was like, come on. Usually you don't see bed bugs. They tend to stay pretty hidden. But, it could be, man. It could be. So I'm sorry that I grossed you all out with all of the bed bug trivia. But I thought since I know a little bit about bed bugs and how they operate, we could sort of arm ourselves with knowledge. So when she inevitably comes out and says something about it, we can kind of tell whether she's lying or not, which usually. Okay, so on to more Reddit stuff. It says, Amber's going to have a meltdown. And I saw that Apathetic Facts posted this, and Destiny seems to be losing weight, but also there's no mention of Destiny's wife. So that kind of sucks. But yeah, Destiny seems to be living her best life. So that's great. So this is interesting. Look at how much bigger she got between July 2024 and July of 2025. That is staggering. And I don't know, I think she looks about the same now as she did in July. Now, this dress is a little floofy, so it's kind of hard to tell exactly, but I think it's about the same, maybe even a little bigger now. Her face is a little bit bigger now. So whatever she's doing it wrong. I just thought this is a face that she makes every once in a while where she'll try rolling her eyes, but for some reason, one of them is always just a little wonky, you know? And I don't know if it's supposed to be like a seductive thing or if she's like rolling her eyes at the haters, but either way, it has the opposite effect when she when she does it like this. And this is funny. This says the fake typing is so effing obvious, and I don't know how I didn't clock this, but watch her typing here. All right, ready? She's just typing the same like 3 or 4 letters over and over again. Basically like K and M, and she's just typing those letters over and over again. I mean, that is just obviously so fake. I found this on the subreddit. It says, "Hello, It's Heavy" on YouTube. Has anyone stumbled upon this channel? Yes, Hello, It's Heavy does great work, and they have an eye for detail. In fact, they did a video saying Amberlynn Reed isn't alone. And I actually wanted to show you this. This is actually from Hello, It's Heavy's video. It's a little bit clearer, and the shape of the bug is a little bit more obvious in this. I don't know, man. Seeing it a little bit clearer in this video, I might be convinced that that's a bed bug. And they are analyzing little bitty details everywhere, all over the videos and her shorts. And they're finding reflections, like in the glass of Amber's Starbucks bottle, that look an awful lot like a person, and catching sounds and noises that kind of make it seem like somebody might be there. So that could be who's bringing in the bed bugs, you know? But yeah, if you have not checked out Hello, It's Heavy, they have a really, really keen eye for detail, and they are noticing things that everybody else is missing. So check them out. I will put a link in the description for their channel and the video where they're looking at the reflections and stuff. And this is crazy. Look at the prices of her memberships now. The Stream Queens Mini, which used to be $5, is now $7. And then the Stream Queens is $13 a month. We thought people were nuts for paying $10 a month, but now she's raised it to $13. So I wonder, does that work retroactively? Like, if you're already a member and she raises the price, are you just going to be charged an extra $3 in the next billing cycle? Or do you get grandfathered in at the old price? Because that's kind of messed up that she would raise the price on everybody. And just kind of keep this in mind. If you want Disney Plus and Hulu, it's only $11 a month. So you can get lots and lots of entertainment for $11, or you can pay $13 and gain the privilege of being able to type in the chat of Amberlynn Reed's live streams that may or may not happen once a week or once a month. Who knows? Who is paying for that? God, people are so stupid, man. But it also tells me that there is no work from home job. She needs some money. She needs an extra stream of income because she hates YouTube. She wants to do it as little as possible. So if she can keep these members and charge them more, then she can just do even less than the bare minimum that she's used to doing. So yeah, I think this is just further proof that there's no work from home job. She doesn't have any other stream of income, and she's relying on these memberships to help her not be on YouTube any more than she absolutely has to be. This person says, inflation. Those DoorDash meals don't pay for themselves. Yeah, that's true. Linflation. All right, so this person is noticing something that I have talked about forever, and it's her chewing with her front teeth. Just look at that. And that's what she does. And it's because her back teeth are all messed up and she's missing some of her back teeth. And so she just chews with her front teeth, and this is what it looks like. It's so weird. And this person says, I've had back teeth removed. I have never once thought to eat like this. She must be in a lot of dental pain to chew like that. Yeah. It has to be on both sides too, because like if I have a toothache on one side, I just chew on the other side. I don't chew with my front teeth. And here's another picture of her chewing with her front teeth, but it's also her trying to hold her food in because she takes such huge bites. And in her live stream, she did a typing test and she did 85 words per minute, which was pretty good as far as words per minute goes, but she made 55 mistakes. So, and of course she was claiming it was because she was so nervous, you guys. So the 85 words per minute is not quite as impressive as you might initially think, because once you see the 55 mistakes, it starts making a little bit more sense, you know. And also just a quick shout out, this Grim Pontiff has an Eris Morn profile picture. If you know, you know, but just letting you know, I know who that is. So hello, fellow and likely former guardian like me. Yeah, we're all in this together. But they say, when I was watching her typing videos, I saw that she never hit backspace, and I thought that was so odd because we all know she's functionally illiterate. Yeah, and in those videos, she's never hitting backspace, yet when she does a typing test, she makes 55 mistakes. Okay. So one more thing, this is not on the subreddit, but I did want to talk about something that somebody brought up in one of my comments, and that is this Rebecca K, who did some super chatting on Amber's live stream, which it just happens to be at the moment she's showing her bug bites, but that really doesn't have anything to do with it right now. But this is right after the typing test, and Rebecca K says, teach me, I can only do 75 words per minute, okay? Now, Rebecca K comes up several times with super chats in this live stream. For instance, here it says, just focus on you and your fam and the peeps that make you happy. You're glowing. So it's just glazing. Every time Rebecca K comes up, it's just glazing Amber. And at first, you're like, okay, it's just an Am baby, whatever. But it gets kind of interesting. Because then Rebecca K becomes a channel member and says, if you ever want more info on the work from home scene, I have connections. And I saw that in my video covering this live stream, and I was like, who do you think you're talking to? Of course she doesn't want that. But somebody made a great comment that I bet this person is an MLM boss babe trying to recruit Amber for her pyramid scheme, allegedly. And I was like, that makes so much sense. That's why she keeps glazing her. And I think it's to sort of butter Amber up a little bit and sort of, you know, kind of kiss her ass to the point where Amber might listen to her. And so I would bet money that whatever info, whatever connections Rebecca K has, it's probably for like Monat or Herbalife or Scentsy or something like that. And we all remember when Amber did, what was that weight loss MLM that she did? Optavia or whatever.
Hey guys, so we have a very large unboxing. Today is my first day on Optavia and I am super excited and I wanted to unbox. It's a lot. Ooh, roasted garlic creamy smashed potatoes. Chocolate mint cookie crisp, which I'm so excited for. I love mint.
And she really thought she was going to do it, but that was a whole arc. That was a story for another day. But I would bet money that this Rebecca K is a boss babe trying to recruit Amber. So yeah, I just wanted to kind of check in with the subreddit a little bit and mainly give my 2 cents when it comes to the bedbug rumor and the situation type deal. But I imagine with the bedbug rumors going around, it probably won't be long until she decides to pipe up and say something. So we'll see what her actual response is to that. But in the meantime, I just thought this would be an interesting little detour while we're waiting. And yeah, I appreciate you guys so much. I'll see you in the next one. Take care.